Have you ever felt tired for no reason? Like something inside you is quietly aching, even when everything around you seems fine? You smile at work, you scroll through your phone, you go through the motions. But deep inside, there's a quiet storm, a heaviness in the chest, a restlessness in the heart. And the hardest part? You don't even know how to explain it to anyone. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. And more importantly, you don't need to wait for someone else to save you. Because the truth is, healing doesn't start from the outside. It begins within. There's a quiet place inside each of us, often forgotten, often buried beneath deadlines, heartbreak, and the pressure to always be okay. But that place, when you learn to return to it, is where peace begins. In this video, I want to walk with you on that path. Not the path of quick fixes or empty motivation, but a path rooted in timeless wisdom. A path the Buddha walked over 12,500 years ago, and one that still holds the power to bring us back to ourselves. We'll explore 12 simple yet profound teachings from Buddhism, not religious commandments, but gentle invitations. Invitations to pause, to breathe, and to remember who you are beneath the noise. So if you've been carrying an invisible weight, if you've been looking for a quiet kind of healing that doesn't depend on anyone else, stay with me. Take a deep breath and give yourself permission to come home, to you. Because you're not broken, you're just waiting to reconnect with your own light. Part 1. Nothing is permanent. Have you ever gone through a season where it felt like the pain would never end? Maybe it was a heartbreak, a deep loss, or just that quiet kind of emptiness that doesn't have a name. Only wait. In those moments, time feels frozen. The days blur together, and you start to wonder, is this it? Will I ever feel okay again? But here's the truth. Nothing is permanent. Not your pain, not your sadness, not even the story you're telling yourself about how things are always going to be. Think of the sky. Even the darkest storm eventually gives way to light. The night never lasts forever, and neither does suffering. Buddhist teachings remind us of this universal truth. This too shall pass. It's simple, but deeply powerful. And maybe you've already lived it without realizing. Think back. Has there been a time in your life where you felt like you wouldn't survive something? And now, here you are. You did survive. You grew. You became someone a little stronger, a little softer, a little wiser. Pain changes us, but it doesn't define us. When you're in the middle of it, healing might feel impossible. But with time, even the deepest wounds become stories. Stories that don't hurt the same way anymore because they've turned into understanding, into strength. So if today feels heavy, remember this: it's not forever. Breathe through it, trust time, and let life move again. Because even this moment right now, yes, even this, won't last forever. And that's a beautiful thing. Part 2. Accept your pain. We all have pain that we don't talk about. Sometimes it's a silent ache, sometimes it's a wound we've hidden so well that even we forget it's there, until it quietly shows up in the way we speak, react, or distance ourselves. But healing doesn't begin with fixing. It begins with facing. It starts the moment you stop pretending you're okay and simply say to yourself, yes, this hurts. Most of us are taught to run from pain, wrap it in distractions, smile through it, or bury it under busyness. We scroll, we laugh on cue, we carry on. But pain doesn't disappear when ignored. It lingers. It waits. Not to punish you, but to be heard. What if, instead of running from it, you sat down with your pain like an old friend? What if you said, I see you. I'm ready to listen. That moment of honesty, that raw human moment, is where healing begins. Buddhist wisdom teaches us pain is the first chapter of a new beginning. And it's true. Every transformation, every inner awakening starts with some kind of discomfort. So don't be ashamed of your sorrow. Don't silence your grief. Honor it. Because pain isn't weakness. It's a messenger. It shows you where you've been hurt and where you still need love. When you welcome it in, when you stop asking, why me? And start asking, what is this trying to teach me? Something shifts. You begin to see pain not as an enemy, but as a guide. So today, if your heart feels heavy, don't run. Pause. Breathe. Sit with it. And let your healing begin. Not from resistance, but from radical acceptance. Part 3. Self-love is the greatest form of healing. Let me ask you something personal. When was the last time you truly loved yourself? Not the surface kind of love, not the kind that only shows up when you succeed or look good in a photo, but the kind that whispers gently, even when I mess up, even when I feel lost, I'm still worthy. You see, most of us are waiting for someone to say, you matter, you're enough. But what if I told you, the one voice that matters most is your own? True self-love isn't ego, it's recognition. It's standing in front of the mirror and not just seeing your reflection, but meeting your inner child, your tired heart, your bruised but beating spirit, and saying, I see you, I'm here for you. The Buddha once said, you yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. And he was right. Because when you love yourself deeply, you stop outsourcing your worth. You no longer chase approval like oxygen. You stop shrinking to fit someone else's version of enough. You begin to breathe differently, walk differently. You begin to belong to yourself. This isn't easy, especially if you've been criticized, abandoned, or taught that love has to be earned. But healing begins the moment you decide, I no longer need to prove anything to deserve my own love. So start small. Wake up and tell yourself, I love you. Not because you're perfect, but because you're real. And that is already enough. Because self-love isn't the destination, it's the path. And it's the safest, most sacred place you'll ever return to. Part 4. Sit in silence and look within. When was the last time you sat in complete silence? Not scrolling, not multitasking, not trying to solve anything, just being? In today's world, silence feels rare, almost uncomfortable. We're so used to noise, notifications, conversations, endless to-do lists, that when things go quiet, our minds panic. But what if that silence isn't emptiness? What if it's the space where your soul finally gets to speak? There's a quiet wisdom that lives inside you. It doesn't shout, it waits. And the only way to hear it is to pause. The Buddha said, a quiet mind is more powerful than a busy one. Because in stillness, you don't escape life. You meet it. You meet yourself. Try this. Close your eyes for just a few moments today. Let the world spin without you. Breathe in deeply and notice what surfaces, not your to-do list, but your truth. Maybe it's a buried sadness. Maybe it's clarity you've been seeking for weeks. Maybe it's just the gentle reminder, I'm here, I matter. Silence isn't about being alone. It's about reconnecting. Think of silence as the mirror where your inner self comes into focus, not the self you show the world, but the one that's been waiting to be acknowledged. Yes, it can feel uncomfortable at first, but discomfort is often the doorway to healing. So today, instead of rushing to fill the quiet, try sitting with it. Let it reveal something to you. Because the most powerful answers in life don't shout, they whisper, and we can only hear them when we finally get still enough to listen. Part 5. Live in the present moment. We spend so much of our lives everywhere, except here. Our minds replay the past like a movie on loop. What we said, what they did, what we could have done differently. And when we're not looking back, we're anxiously peeking into the future, worrying about things that haven't even happened yet. But here's the catch. The only moment we ever truly live in is this one, right now. Think about it. How many mornings have you woken up already stressed about what's next? How many nights have you replayed conversations long after they ended? We miss the taste of our coffee, the warmth of the sun, the sound of someone laughing, because our attention is stuck somewhere else. Buddhist wisdom reminds us, suffering lives in the past and the future, but peace? It only lives in the present. The present moment may seem simple, maybe even boring, but it holds everything. Your breath, your heartbeat, your chance to choose again. Here's a small shift you can try. The next time you catch your mind drifting into what-ifs or should-haves, gently bring it back. Notice one thing around you. Feel your feet on the ground. Take a slow, conscious breath. This isn't about ignoring your past or pretending the future doesn't matter. It's about not letting them steal your now, because now is where your life actually happens. So ask yourself right now, am I here? Not just physically, but fully. Because the moment you return to the present, you return to your power. And in that stillness, you might just discover, peace was never far away. It was just waiting, right here. Part 6. Understand the root of your suffering. Sometimes we feel things that seem way bigger than the moment we're in. Maybe someone says something small, and suddenly it stings deeply. Maybe we face rejection at work or in love, and it leaves us shaken, more than it should. And we wonder, why am I reacting like this? What's wrong with me? But what if the pain you're feeling right now isn't just about now? You see, every emotion has a story, and often the loudest emotions are echoes from the past, unseen, unspoken, unresolved. Let me tell you a story. There was a boy named Rahul. As a child, he was once humiliated by his father in front of his entire class for making a small mistake. He didn't cry, he just held it in. But years later, as an adult, whenever someone criticized his work, even gently, he would feel small, panicked, and deeply hurt. People said, "You're too sensitive." But what they didn't see was the wound he never got to heal. Buddhist wisdom teaches, if the root is diseased, the branches will wither. In other words, unless we understand where our suffering began, we keep watering the wrong pain. So here's a gentle invitation. Instead of asking, how do I stop feeling this? Ask, when did I first feel this? Trace it back. Was it a moment of rejection, of shame, of being unseen? Because when you finally see the root, something powerful happens. You stop blaming the present for what belongs to the past. And that is where freedom begins. Understanding is liberation. And the deeper you understand yourself, the softer your pain becomes. You don't need to fix everything at once. You just need to see it clearly. Because what's seen can finally begin to heal. Part 7. Stop comparing yourself to others. Have you ever scrolled through social media and suddenly felt like you were falling behind? Someone just bought a house. Someone else is on their third vacation this year. Another friend just got promoted, engaged, or started a perfect-looking business. And there you are, in sweatpants, reheating leftovers, wondering, am I doing enough? We've all been there. But here's the thing. You're comparing your full story to someone else's highlight reel. And that's never a fair comparison. You weren't meant to live their life. You were meant to live yours. And your pace, your path, your timing, it's all uniquely yours. Think of the sun and the moon. They both shine, but not at the same time. No one asks the moon why it doesn't shine at noon. No one rushes the sun to rise earlier. And yet, we keep rushing ourselves. Buddhist wisdom reminds us, there is no competition between flowers. They bloom when it's their time. What if you trusted that your time is coming too? What if you celebrated your quiet growth, even if no one else sees it yet? Because the truth is, your worth isn't measured by comparison. It's measured by presence, by how honestly you show up for your own life. So the next time you feel small in someone else's shadow, come back to this question. What's blooming in me right now? And tend to it with love. You're not behind, you're just on a different timeline. And that's not a flaw, it's a design. Part 8. Forgive yourself and others. There's a quote you've probably heard before. Holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Harsh, but painfully true. We carry so much. Old arguments, betrayals, guilt from years ago. Maybe you still replay that one moment, what they did, what you said, what you wish you'd done differently. And every time it resurfaces, it tightens something inside you. But here's the truth. No one teaches us early enough. Forgiveness isn't about them. It's about you. It doesn't mean what happened was okay. It doesn't mean you're erasing the hurt. It means you're ready to stop letting the past take up space in your heart. Forgiving someone isn't about forgetting. They may never apologize, and they may never change. But when you forgive, you change. You drop the heavy stone you've been carrying. You breathe easier. You move forward lighter. And don't forget this part. You also need to forgive yourself for the times you didn't know better, for staying too long, for saying too little, for not being perfect. Because healing doesn't come from punishment. It comes from permission to feel, to learn, and then to let go. Ask yourself, what if today was the day I stop clinging to what hurt me and start reclaiming my peace? You deserve that peace, not someday, now. Not when they change, when you choose to release. Forgiveness isn't weakness, it's freedom. And that freedom starts the moment you say, I'm done carrying this. Part 9. Practice mindfulness. When people hear the word mindfulness, they often picture someone sitting cross-legged on a mountain in total silence, far away from the chaos of everyday life. But what if I told you? Mindfulness isn't found on a mountain. It's found in your next breath. It's in the way you drink your morning coffee without checking your phone. It's in the way you feel the warm water on your hands as you wash the dishes. It's in how you listen, really listen when someone is speaking, without planning your response. Mindfulness is presence, and presence is power. Most of us spend our days on autopilot. We eat while scrolling, we walk while worrying, we work while daydreaming, and in the process we miss the very moments that make up our life. But when you begin to slow down, something beautiful happens. The ordinary becomes sacred. A single breath can become an anchor. A quiet meal can feel like a blessing. Even the act of walking, when done slowly, with intention, can become a kind of prayer. Try this. The next time you're eating, put your phone away. Chew slowly. Taste the food. Feel grateful for the hands that prepared it, the soil that grew it, the moment that allows you to enjoy it. This is mindfulness, and it doesn't require more time, just more attention. So today, instead of rushing through another to-do list, ask yourself, can I be fully here just for this moment? Because peace isn't waiting somewhere far away. It's here, right here, in this breath, in this bite, in this now. Part 10. Treat every morning as a fresh start. There's something sacred about mornings. Not just because the sky changes color or the world feels quieter, but because every morning is a silent invitation to begin again. You don't have to carry yesterday into today. You don't have to wake up wearing the weight of past mistakes, regrets, or conversations that didn't go the way you hoped. The sun doesn't ask who you were yesterday. It simply rises and offers light. And maybe that's your cue too. See, we often treat life like a continuous thread of pressure, one long stretch of unresolved to-do lists and emotional baggage. But what if we paused? What if we saw each morning for what it truly is? A blank page? You can choose to write a different story today. You can choose to be a little softer with yourself, to send that message, to say that sorry, to finally forgive, to take one small step, even just one, toward the version of you you've always hoped to be. It doesn't have to be dramatic. Sometimes the boldest transformation is just deciding to live this day more fully. So tomorrow morning, before reaching for your phone, take one quiet moment. Breathe. Remind yourself, this is a new beginning. I am not who I was yesterday. I can begin again. Because you can. You always can. Every sunrise is proof. Life still wants to meet you, with open arms and another chance. Part 11. Don't run from loneliness. Learn to befriend yourself. Let's talk about something most people avoid. Loneliness. We're taught to fear it, to fill every silence with sound, every empty moment with a screen, every pause with distraction. But here's a truth that might surprise you. Loneliness isn't your enemy. It's a mirror. A quiet space that reflects back everything you've been too busy to face. Most of us aren't afraid of being alone. We're afraid of what might show up when there's no noise left to drown it out. But Buddhist wisdom teaches us solitude is not isolation, it's an invitation. When you sit with yourself, no scrolling, no background music, no performance, something sacred happens. You start to hear the voice beneath the chatter. You begin to realize you're not truly alone. You've just been disconnected from yourself. Try treating your loneliness like a tea ceremony. Not something to fix, but something to sit with. Light a candle, brew some tea. Ask yourself gently, what really matters to me? You might be surprised at what answers come, not from the outside, but from your own soul. Because healing doesn't begin when someone else shows up. It begins when you show up, for yourself. So the next time loneliness knocks, don't slam the door. Open it. Let it in. Sit together in silence. And you'll find that what you feared was never emptiness. It was space. The kind of space where your truest self has been patiently waiting for you to return. Part 12. Learn to let go. Don't hold on to what has passed. Some of the deepest suffering we carry doesn't come from what happened. It comes from our refusal to let it go. We hold on to old wounds, past mistakes, unmet expectations, and people who were never meant to stay. We replay conversations that ended years ago. We grip memories like they're anchors, but forget that anchors were never meant to fly. Buddha taught, all things are impermanent. Everything that arises will pass. But we struggle with this, because letting go feels like giving up, like losing control, like forgetting what mattered. But here's a different way to look at it. Letting go isn't forgetting. It's honoring what was, while freeing yourself to live what is. Picture this. Your hand tightly gripping a rope. The tighter you pull, the more it cuts into your skin. But the pain doesn't stop until you let go. That's what clinging to the past does to the heart. It bleeds slowly, until you finally release the grip. Letting go isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's the quiet strength of accepting that some things end. Some people leave. Some moments were only meant to teach, not to stay. So today, take a breath, close your eyes, and whisper to yourself, I choose to let go. I choose lightness. I choose to live in the now. because the past can't be changed. But your freedom? That begins the moment you stop dragging it with you. Conclusion: every moment is a chance. Before this video ends, I want to leave you with one gentle reminder. Every moment is a doorway. A small, quiet chance to begin again. You don't have to wait until next week, next year, or some magical turning point. You can choose, right now, how you want to live, how you want to feel, and how gently you want to treat yourself. Take a breath with me. Feel it in your chest. Now tell yourself softly, I will live today fully. I will learn to love myself. I will return to the peace inside me. It doesn't matter where you've been. What matters is that you're here and that you're willing. Healing isn't always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's a small shift in how you speak to yourself. A decision to pause, a moment of grace, a second of clarity. And maybe, just maybe, this was the moment your heart needed. If something in this video touched you, if it made you breathe a little deeper, think a little softer, or feel a little less alone, then please share it with someone who might be carrying a quiet pain too. Because sometimes healing doesn't come from advice. It comes from feeling seen, from knowing someone else has walked the same road and made it through. Thank you for being here, for being willing, and for beginning again.